Hi guys, I'm Blake O'Neill and welcome to another edition of Station Tutorials. Today I'm going to show you how to do the intro you just saw. Why don't we get started? Let's go to New Composition. We'll go to HDTV 1080 at 24 frames a second and we'll set our comp to 10 seconds, okay? Hit enter, put a space in there. That'll kick this to the top. Now we have this cool grunge texture here that I've really come to like. It's really cool when you add some contrast to it. Alright, let's turn on a 3D switch and move this back in Z space. And then we'll hit S and scale it up so that it covers the entire comp. Then we'll go to Effect, Stylize, Motion Tile. Then we're going to mirror the edges and increase our output width and output height to about 300 apiece, which is fine. Layer new camera, 35 millimeter. Okay. Now you can see these seams that it created here. Let me show you. If we scale this down, that's what the motion tile does. See, watch. Turn this motion tile off. That's one. It just basically duplicates the edges in whichever direction, whether you adjust the output height or the output width. And that'll give us the freedom to orbit our camera in 3D space without running out of edge. Now let's click on the text tool and we'll add Station Tutorials. We'll put it in 3D space and let's move that over. Center it. Now let's make sure our positions of our text and our background match. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy the position from our background and paste it onto the position of our text. And then let's size up our text. Around 300 is good. Let's toggle the switches and change the transfer mode to color burn. This kind of gives it like a bloody look almost. Select the text layer. Layer styles, bevel and emboss. Drop down here and increase the depth to up around 300. Change the technique to chisel soft. Increase the size to about 7. Collapse that. We're going to duplicate it by hitting Command D. And let's rename this background. You can rename these easily by hitting enter and then just typing whatever. We'll name this text. And we'll name this, actually we'll name this one text and we'll name the one below it shadow. We're going to go to Effects, Blur and Sharpen, CC Radial Blur. And let's add this to a straight zoom and increase the amount. And you'll see it blurring outwards. Then we're going to go to Generate Fill and add a black fill. And you're going to say, why are you doing this? This looks terrible. You'll see shortly. Then let's grab that layer and grab the center of our radial blur and bring it all the way up to the top. And then we'll decrease the radial blur down to about 5. And that just gives it a little bit of depth. All right, now let's add our flower petals. Put that over the text layer. Let's go to Keying, Key Light, select the green. And as you can see, that keys pretty well. It looks just about perfect, but here's what I always do. I grab a new solid and make it white. And then we'll place this white layer underneath our flower petals. And see what you got going on there? See the noise, and that's what, see what the green screen left there? Now you normally wouldn't catch that unless you do this. You know, what you would have thought was a perfect key is actually a lot dirtier than it looks. See, that looks perfect when in fact, if you turn the white back on, it is not. You have decay there all over your image that you probably should get rid of. So here's how we do this. Go up and we'll drop down the screen mat and increase the clipping black. And that's pretty much as good as you're going to get there. You can soften the edges, put like a, 1 or 2 soften on it, and you have a nearly perfect key now. I mean, that's pretty good. All right, now let's turn our white layer off. We can actually delete the solid. Let's go to Effect, Color Correction Curves. We'll give our leaves some contrast here. Give it a nice S-curve to increase the contrast. And then let's turn the cast shadows to on, because we want the leaves to cast shadows on our wall when we add a light. So let's do that now. Let's add a light. We'll put in a spot and we'll make it a nice soft yellow. Okay. Now let's reposition our light here. Move it up and a little bit to the right. Just get in a spot where you can see it illuminating your text, but it also give you that nice vignette look too at the same time. Now it's nice because any of our leaves that pass through our light will cast a shadow on our wall. So add an adjustment layer and color correction curves once again, and we'll give it some contrast and get it so it's looking, looking right. And I like to add some green to this. Let's bring up the green, and we're getting there. Real quickly here, we got something that's looking good. All right, now let's keyframe our camera positions at the beginning and end of the comp. And now we will orbit our camera, find a starting position, and go to the last keyframe. Find an ending position. Let's shorten this up here so it doesn't take so long to render. About 4 seconds. And let's increase the speed of our petals, because right now they are about 30 seconds long. We want them to be about 10. We'll put it at 32%. If you're wondering why the speed percentage actually works opposite in After Effects than it does in Final Cut. Let's render this out. And very quickly, you have a pretty impressive looking graphic in a very short amount of time, with very few layers. I'll leave a link to this font down below if you liked it, as well as the slow motion leaves. So if you look down below, those will be there, and you'll be able to download those. That font was actually called Retro Rock Poster. At the end of this tutorial, I'll put a link to a real rock video that I shot with a fellow station friend. Until next time, this is Blake O'Neill, and this has been Station Tutorials. I will see you guys again next week. I hope you learned something, and go take this technique and use it in some other fashion, and leave a video response showing me what you made with this. All right, see you guys next week.